Hey everyone, welcome to this class. And in this video, I want to talk about creating your own portfolio and so making your portfolio projects. And I wanted to show some projects I did and my experiences. And after that, I will discuss the homework assignments. So let's start with that. So this is a project I made a while ago, and I went to the IAMAG festival in Paris. So maybe you can check it out if you're in the neighborhood of if you're close around Paris. And it's every March in Paris, and it's a conference. And 2 years ago, I went there, and I wanted to make my stop my camera, and I wanted to show my portfolio there. So I think a half year before I was going there, I wanted to make a portfolio project, and I decided I wanted to make a character lineup. So I started with this character, and then I created all these different characters. And why I did that is because I wanted to work for an animation studio for television or for movies, and I wanted to make characters. So one thing you can do that is to create your own intellectual property with your own story. So I had this idea of this parrot diver that has his own boat and he fishes, and then there's an other character that is his competitor, and he's living on in a village, a fisher village, and there are fishers. There's a teacher. There's a sushi chef who orders fish at him, and there is a chef. And so I just started adding more and more characters, and that worked really well. So I set the goal of creating a portfolio to take it with me in Paris, and so I made this character lineup, and I also made this model sheet. So showing some different sketches I made before I made this drawing, and some emotions. And I'm showing this, I did show this on my iPad, and also that worked really well. So this was one page. And I think this is a bit of the max you want to show on one page. So what I did is I made, for example, a couple of 10 pages like this. So one page was with the character lineup. One page was with the model sheet, with expressions. So you're actually doing like you're already working at the studio. So you're showing that you can come up with ideas, that you can come up with your own story, and you can create characters for the story. So that's really important to get that. And I'm also showing that you can draw a turnaround. So then you're showing that you can work on production art. So that's also really important. And also that you can draw the character in different poses. And I also like to make, and that's a bit of my problem, I like to do a lot of things. I like to draw characters, I like to draw environments and props. So I created this boat and also added this character at the boat. So you can see how he's living in and around that boat. So that shows you that you think about all these things. And also adding these doodles is also really good, that you can come up with different ideas. And so this was one page. So what I would recommend is that if you're making a character portfolio, let me make just an overview. So I think I would make for character portfolio. I think around 10 pages. So maybe the first page is that character lineup. And then the second page is, what was that? The design. So showing from the lead character, some sketches maybe, and then a final painting, and maybe some expressions. And maybe you can even leave that expressions out and just show your sketches, your research, and your final design. And here your character lineup. Maybe here you want to show a sheet with expressions. Maybe something like this. I wouldn't do more than 10 drawings on top of it. So expressions. And then maybe one with a turnaround. And maybe a couple of poses also on that. Maybe you can do the poses separately. And maybe one with, what was that? With the boat. So here you have the boat, prop, and character. So that you're also showing that you can also draw some props. Maybe you also want to draw some background, that you're showing a couple of backgrounds with the character, but that's only if you're, that's only necessary if you're maybe want to do that as well. But then still, your main focus is character portfolio. But you can show some backgrounds, but then show backgrounds with characters in background in the background. Let's say, yeah, what I showed with that boat. And maybe you want to show a page with figure drawing, and then only show one of those. So the studios also like to see that, and so that you also know that. And I think if you all, for example, if you're going to a conference like that, something like this would be already be a really good portfolio. Maybe you can show some pages like this from different characters from that character lineup, or maybe you have maybe you make a project with where humans, or that's for an older, that's a bit different, that you make different, and we call this, so for example, this ID for a movie, we call that an intellectual property. Intellectual property, or an IP. So maybe you can make a second IP as well, but that's really different. Maybe for with humans, and maybe it's a bit more realistic or something, and so on. But what I wanted to show here is that you can really, if you want to become a character artist, really focus on that, with showing that. And we'll talk a bit more about it later. I've also a different project I want to show. So I went with this portfolio also to Malta THU. It's also a conference you can check. So THU, I think it's always in October. And it's really fun because it's a conference of 5 days. And the first 2 days is with recruitment. So they have a website, and then you can send your portfolio, and then you can talk. So that's how I talked with Disney Animation, Illumination, some gaming studios, and some more animation studios. And also Netflix was there also. And there you can make those contacts. And showing that Fisher Village really helped me, because they like the idea, and they find it cool that you come up with your own story. So that works really well. And one of those studios liked my environment work. But they also told me that they're working in Maya with 3D. So they asked me if I could make a project to show that I could work for them. So I started, which one is, yeah, this, I think the first one. So I started with this, where I made a sketch of the store. So they asked me if I could do some environment. So I picked this candy store because you have a lot of objects in it, like these faces. I actually made some more prop designs, but didn't edit them here, but oh well. So, but I could really copy paste them more or less and still have the feeling that I'd drawn a lot of objects. And here, this also helps you thinking about the store, that you can walk around, that you can walk on the stair like this here, and that you can walk around here. You can walk through this here, go through this door. So I wanted to show that I really think about the functionality. Functionality. So this is the type of work you would do in a studio. You would make these kinds of designs that they have. Maybe there's a scene of a movie playing around in this candy store, and then also showing some different camera angles. And there's also some different props. So you need to be able to design all those different things. And that's what I wanted to show with this, these drawings. So they asked me if I could work in Maya, and I already had some experience in Maya, but mainly in Blender. So I had to learn to program a bit, but I made this, and they used this for their animatics or their VizDev. So before they start really render everything, they make these animatic movies. So you see these, they use these to see how the characters need to move and what they need to build and so on. And the studio wanted to know if I, so they saw my drawings, and they also wanted to know if I can draw these, if I can model these things in 3D. So I made this to show I can work in 3D, and I can design these stores and can think about all those things they need, like do the characters have enough space, how does the room looks, and so on. So here you can see that I took the 3D model, and then I really started to draw on top of that with a thin line and making it as detailed as possible. So 3D modelers can take these drawings and can start working from that. So that's really useful for those animation studios. And I also have this one. And in the end, I didn't. I talked to that studio, and they also said, "Yeah, at the moment we don't have anything, but maybe later." But at the end, I really didn't pursue it anymore because I liked working from home, And to get that job, I needed to go to a different country and start as a junior. And I think if you're just going from school, that's a great opportunity. But I also had the opportunity to just stay at home, working as freelancer, working also on different projects. And I posted this on this project on LinkedIn, and that got me some objects for a Chinese gaming studio that wanted some environments like this. I worked for a Canadian animation studio from here, from the Netherlands, for them. And maybe that's interesting to tell a bit. So there was this studio in Canada, Vancouver, Canada, and they approached me to help with a pilot for an animation for TV. And they asked me to create a room for a kid. And so I had to design. So I started with making, drawing the room, making quick thumbnail sketches, and I sent them over them. And then I had a Skype call with them. And then I made some adjustments, and finally I made some camera shots of that room. And I also used 3D. I didn't show it then, the 3D part, but everything I made in this stage, I could easily apply to there. And then maybe if they ask me, oh, can you do a different camera angle, then the 3D helps with it. But I also really noticed that a lot of people want to become a character artist. And I also want to become a character artist, but that's really hard because a lot of people are trying that. So because when I was going to Malta and to GHU, I noticed there was also a lot of people interested in studios interested in my work for environment. Where's my brain? For background artist, environment art, so backgrounds and so on. So and also when I started posting that on LinkedIn, I really noticed that I did got some opportunities to work on some stuff. So maybe what I want to say with that is, maybe you really like to draw characters, but you also enjoy to draw environment art. Then this gives you a lot of opportunity to find work, but still you need to do what you love. And if character art is really the thing you want to do, go for it. But maybe it's also interesting to go for storyboarding. So I think it's important, what is your goal? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And what kind of studio do you want to work for? Do you want to work for an animation studio or for a gaming company? Do you want to become a character artist? Make a portfolio with character artist. Create your own movie or think about your own movie. Maybe write it down and then create all the characters for. Think about it like, what would you like to work on? And or maybe you want to become a storyboard artist. So go make a movie and make storyboards about it. And you don't have to storyboard the whole movie, but maybe you can pick one scene and make storyboard out of that. Maybe you want to become an illustrator, make illustrations, come up with your own commercial or anything and create illustrations for that. Soon the soccer championship will start. Maybe you can make a mascot and draw it in different poses, or on T-shirts, on retail products, and so on, and also post it online. I also did those things a lot, and then I got contacted for different things about it. And or maybe environment artist. There's a lot of ask for good environment artists, so maybe that's something you find interesting. Children book. If you want to become a children book artist, start making your own children book. Um, really try to make your own story. It's really interesting that you're an artist, so you have so much power. If you can come up with your own story, you can make it yourself. Game artist. I actually worked for years at gaming companies. Worked on games for Facebook and for mobile, and there's also a lot of opportunities for that. I think, especially when you're young and you need to find some work, that's a great place to start, because I really learned to paint there and to draw characters. And yeah, those Candy Crush games, I don't really feel a lot for them, but I got paid to learn how to draw. So that was really a good goal to first start there. And my final goal was a character artist. And maybe you can do it, or maybe animation is your goal. Really focus on what your goal is. Concept art, um, double animation. But really think about what is your goal, and also think about where do you want to work for, what kind of studio. And if it's Pixar, for example, um, go for that. Try to work at Pixar, and maybe you're in somewhere else. So maybe you're here, and then the road will maybe this, and maybe you're going somewhere else, and that makes you uh, happy. But at least you have this goal of going to Pixar, and it will guide you somewhere. So also for me, my goal was also Pixar and Disney and so on. But now I'm working from home as a freelancer, and I'm really liking that. So having that goal is really good, and don't be afraid to say that. It's just about being clear. So I really like this idea from aim for the moon, or aim for the stars, but you reach the moon. And maybe you like it on this. Maybe you really like it on this moon. And maybe you even like this moon more than all these stars that are really far away. So I think also those big studios um, is not the final, or yeah the thing maybe that makes you super happy and makes all your problems go away. But it's a great goal, and also maybe you end up with a smaller studio or a freelancer, and maybe that fits you way better, but you don't know it. You need to aim and go for it. And if you have any questions about it, leave any drop them in the comments, or send them me through the email, and I will try to help you. So portfolio project. So now you know what you want to do, or at least if you don't really know what to do, try to um, try out things. Try to do characters for a while, and then figure out if you like it or not. And if you don't like it, try backgrounds and so on. You only know it when you try it. So make something as if you already got your dream job. And what I mean with that is, I want to be a character artist for Pixar. So start making characters for your own Pixar movie. Try to come up with your own story. And the story doesn't have to be perfect. Just start with something and try to make it as good as possible, and develop some characters for it. And do as if you're working for a movie director. So you made that one character, for example, that one parrot diver. And imagine Steven Spielberg is walking into the room, or any other famous director, and he asks, Okay, that's the main character. But how does the parents look? How does his sister look? How does the friends look? How does the the love interest look? Or if you're making an environment, or if you want to become an environment artist and you draw a house, so you draw a drawing of a house, then maybe the director asks, how does the house look from the inside? Or how does the village look? And so on. How does the nature look? How does a tree look in that world? So it's a bit like this. So, and you can really make a good portfolio about it. And it's stronger because I see that a lot in portfolios, that people are just making a portfolio about cool technical drawing, but it's more about this. So if you want to work for an animation studio, create your own animation movie. Yeah, I told about that. So create your own project. And maybe if you really want to try that out, try to come up with an idea and make some sketches for it. And you can send it to me for next week homework review. And maybe I can help you with creating a portfolio project. And there's no one perfect route for that, but yeah, it's good to try it out. So a bit of a summary: create your portfolio, max 10 pages. I wouldn't do more than that, because also in THU with Malta, when I was talking with Disney and other studios, you only have about 10 minutes sometimes to talk. And most of the talk, they already looked up your work and stuff. And so they just want to find out who you are. And that's also really important. Your social skills. Try to be polite. Try to be nice. Really listen. Listen to what they say. Don't argue with them. Show them you're hardworking, you really want it, and that you're positive. And that can really help with that. Show your best work. So that's also with this. You don't have to show everything. Just show your very best work. They assume you show them your best work. They also know that you have some bad drawings and that you're not showing them to them. So don't show them, because maybe they're starting to think you have even worse drawings. But show your best work. You're basically also a bit selling yourself to those kind of studios. You're trying to put your foot between the door. Keep it clear. So keep your drawings and your goal and what you want really clear. So don't, if you're making expression sheet, don't throw in 50 different heads. Just throw 8 is more than enough. Don't put too much on one page. So yeah, that's what I'm just telling. Do something you love. If you really want to become a character artist, and even a lot of people want to do that, still go for it. If that is what you really like to, go for it. Do research where you apply. So for example, if you're applying to a studio, go look up what kind of movies are they making. So in the interview, you can also ask some questions about the movies they made, and that show you're interested. And that's also really important. It's also because I had talks with really big studios, but also with smaller studios, and the smaller studios I didn't know that much from, but I researched it a bit. And when I had the talk, I showed that, yeah, I also know a bit about what those smaller studios are doing. So that shows interest, and they like that. You can make multiple portfolios for different studios. So if you don't know what you want to do, and just like me, when I was going to Malta, I had a character portfolio and an environment portfolio. And so then you can really decide, they searching for environment artist, so then you're showing environment portfolio. And when you're searching for a character artist, then you're showing your character portfolio, and so on. So those were my tips about portfolios. And currently, I don't really have a strong portfolio. I have portfolio website, but I didn't update it for a while. And mainly because I currently have enough work. I'm doing this. I'm making those ebooks, so I'm not really searching. But I'm planning to do some again more soon. And when I have that, I can make more videos about making that. But I hope this helped. And this is the first time I'm actually doing this on Patreon. So let me know if you like this video. Maybe you have some questions. Let me know and I'll try to answer those. And I would love to see your portfolio if you want some feedback. Maybe you can send your portfolio for the next feedback video, and then I can over it. It can be interesting. So let's go to the homework assignment and start with Pablo. Take a sip of water. So Pablo made some studies, and actually they look really well. And what can I say? I think maybe some proportions look a bit off. Maybe you can, and I'm now working on the ebook for this torso book, so you will get that next month. And maybe if you have that ebook, you really can compare it in your screen. You can make an image from it, and then you can see how close you are or not. But these look really well. What I would recommend is that if you're doing these kind of studies, so I'll take this brush, is that you're drawing through your shapes as well, so that you're trying to think about. So I'm also not always showing that, but most of the time I'm drawing through these shapes as well. So you did that here, so that's good. And try to, try to practice that. And also really important that you stay loose. And I think this wall here could be a bit different. But I think you're doing a great job. So yeah, just keep and try to think of these shapes. Try to see how these shapes are constructed. And it seems a bit going to go a bit too much to the front. But overall, it's really good. I would just recommend keep on practicing this, and this is really good. Maybe you can look up some on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you search for figure drawing, models, and then try to look at those models and draw the torso like this, and then try to learn from that. So that's really good practice. So Stefan, I really like your figure drawings. You can really see your construction is really awesome. I would recommend and to work on your gesture. And I think that's already really fine, but I think we're always looking on something we can improve. And I really like the art from GL Toon Art. Joey, I think. Awesome guy. And he always has these nice flowing lines. So if you put this a bit lower, maybe taking a red brush. So you can see these nice lines going here, and there's this overlap. And here, so there's this rhythm in his lines that's just really, really nice. So maybe you can study his art, and also Matt Jones is really good. So these are his figure drawings, and you can see how quickly he's doing this. I think these are maybe 1 minute, maybe even less, I don't know. But you can really see that energy in it. And he's really loose. And I think that would really help you learn it. And this is also something I could learn a lot from as well. I want to practice this again also, but he's awesome in this. You can see these lines, and maybe you can study his art as well. And I think that will, yeah, because maybe you can make some decisions about making some spaces more, yeah, more straight versus curved, and so on. So look for this nice long line versus straight versus curved, etc. So Dana, awesome drawings. And you actually asked about making a portfolio, and yeah, these are fun, nice drawings. But my question was, what's your goal with this? So, what is your goal with these drawings? And do you want to work? Do you want to make your own Harry Potter movie, or do you want to make something else? Or where do you want to work for? Do you want to work for a game company? If you want to work for a game company, for example, the game company I worked for, they made those kind of Candy Crush games. So if we had people that were applying there, I always like to see some Candy Crush games like this. Maybe there was some character here, and there is some hut, for example, and we had all these objects here, and maybe a character. So then I also showed that I could draw a character and that I could render. So I did everything. Yeah, you need to show you can work at a company like that. So maybe you can ask yourself, where do you want to work for, and what kind of, and make that there. So maybe you can answer me and make a plan for that. And overall, this really yeah, cool drawing. I would look, if you make this chimney, these edges need to be a bit thicker like this, right? So or else it's not a chimney. So like this here. And also with these wings, so here you have these feathers, but try to make those feathers maybe a bit more designed, that they're going along with these. I'm also wondering, why did you go for this perspective? It's not a camera, because then this shot would also be about that. But I think the perspective is really what's happening actually. Oh yeah, this perspective works well. So that's good work on that. But maybe you could make, if you want to make this store, maybe you can make a drawing in Canvas, and then show that a bit like this. You can make more of a focal point for that wand or something. Maybe you can also draw a character that's looking at the glass, something like this. Maybe there are more characters or something. I don't know. But maybe you could think about more of an environment for that that tells a story. But I don't know what your goal is, and what kind of studio do you want to work for, or maybe you want to make your own illustrations. So Scott made these cool sketches, and yeah, what can I say? So these are actually really fine. I really like that you're sketching really loose and that you're not afraid. So keep doing that. So that's really good. Also with this. So maybe it's interesting that if you have this sketch, so turn it a bit softer, maybe a bit of erasure, and then just go over it. Maybe giving these shapes a bit more shape, for example. I think this is a monkey or something. You can start drawing on top of these shapes. Maybe place those. I think the shoulders should be a bit higher there, and so on. So that's also why it's useful to use some reference to get it right. I also don't know how they are sitting actually. It's always good to look up some reference. So this tail, maybe making it a bit more like this, so that it doesn't look too even. So you made also this, this looks the same as this. And here in this case, there's this, I'm trying to break that and doing more this. But great. So this also really great that you did these lines, but I would also draw them a bit through like this, so you know how they go around the arm. But great studies, man. It's really good to do it on this paper. I hope you're trying to do every day at least one of a page like this, and it would really help you growing. And I like that you're doing it so rough. That's really good. I see a lot of people trying to draw a bit too clean. So IPA or IPA, I don't know. And am I saying it correctly? So, so doing something wrong here. So these drawings are really good. I think you could use some construction in them. And maybe, I don't know the sketches behind this, but what's really important that you're really thinking about if you're drawing these type of characters, and that you're using these construction lines. For example, here. And then adding this here. This cheek here. And so on. So that you're really starting to think about how to construct these drawings. So here, and then this hair. How's this hair? So if this is her neck and her shoulder, how's this hair going over the shoulder, for example? And this going into a curl. So maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe it's behind her neck. That can also possible be. But that you're really, I would love to see your sketches. And that you're drawing through your shapes. And also when you're drawing the lips, that you think about how are they wrapping around the mouth. For example, let's take this drawing. how's this ear? This earlobe. So watch out for that these lines coming all together in at this point. So maybe you can do something like this and put the neck here. So you're avoiding those tangents. So draw this the skull of the head. And then you can also see this. I think this feels a bit off. I think if you're drawing the head and you're drawing the eyes, I don't know if you got my new ebook about drawing the head, so maybe that will help. So I'm always thinking about it that is if you're taking these cupcakes out of the head and that you're putting the eyes inside it. So oftentimes the eye is a bit behind the nose. So what I would recommend is look at that. Let me know if you didn't have had it, with the Drawing Heads ebook, and so I think that can help. And try to think about if we have the skull, the hair is coming out of the skull, so like this. So it's really important to think about those parts and look out for that you're watch out for these tangents or almost tangents. Give some things a little bit space. I think here these lines are coming way too close together. And also, is this her side of her body, or is this hair going over it? So it's a bit hard to judge. So maybe, yeah. Maybe I would draw it a bit more. Maybe I would draw it over her shoulder here. I don't know. There's still something I would play around a bit. But the main thing about that is, and I think you're already doing a great job, is think about construction. So drawing your characters with these kind of shapes. And I also made some videos about drawing the head for that. Maybe that helps. Joshua. So yeah, this really cool, sketchy drawing, and I really like to see that. And because of that, what I really like about that is that you can really feel it really feels 3D. There's a nice flow in it, so that's really awesome, man. So keep making sketches like this. Keep making some more poses. I also like that this feet is heading this way and this feet this way. Maybe if you would make a final drawing out of this, I will maybe make this space a bit like this, so there's no tangent in this part, that these parts aren't too close to each other. You don't want this. Or what you could do is that you do this, right? That's also a bit divided from each other. But I really like the sketchiness, and you can really see that everything is wrapping around really good, and it gives this great feel of 3D. So awesome work. So let's go to Christy. So this is a beautiful drawing. A bit lighter. So let's first, I always start with an action line. Maybe I can also maybe, so it could be that this leg can push this feet maybe a bit backwards. And then maybe this leg that's in the front, maybe a bit forward. And what I'm also always trying with using with legs like these is that you're maybe using one side is simple side and one side is a more complex side. So complex versus simple. And maybe you can also look at that from those. I think who was that? I think Stefan, the artist I recommended that Stefan, like Matt Jones and GL Toon art, really good with those kind of things. So I would really recommend that. And some things, so the neck feels way too long. So maybe you can make that neck a bit shorter. Also, here, if this is a rib cage, and I'll be doing some tutorials about that also later, about the total proportions. I think here's the pelvis. I think that can all be a bit closer to each other. So if this is her head, this is her. So I would actually say that head should be a bit more here. And the torso should be a bit closer to the pelvis. Also these arms a bit more here. Here, I'm thinking, now those legs can be long, especially with a character like this. You want to have those long, elegant legs, I think. But I will be posting some tutorials about drawing the body proportions soon, so you can practice that. Some other things I would suggest is that keep this clothing a bit more simple, maybe something like this, or it's also something I can make some tutorials about clothing or more. So try to make something that's a bit more basic. So maybe making some eight shape. It's also a bit of searching for me. So what is the best shape for that? But I really like this line. So I think you did some things really good. So keep up that good work. Maybe you can make this hair also a bit more dynamic. Make a big part and then a small part here. Trying to make a bit more maybe in shapes. Trying to think different and multiple shapes. Let's go to Guai. So awesome work again. I'm only wondering a bit, what is the story? What are you trying to tell? I don't know. What is the story? Maybe the story is it looks like they're searching something in the forest. Maybe they're having made a fire or something. Super cliche, but maybe you can do something like this. And then she's holding this stick here. Maybe she's throwing something. Maybe she's putting this mouse into this thing. maybe you can come up with a different story, but I want some more action and reaction in it. Maybe this other witch is looking at the mouse there, and they're sitting in the forest or something. But then you have a bit more of a storytelling into that, and give them something to do and make that clear for the viewer, so that everyone can see what they're doing. So watch out for these points, those tangents here. So maybe leave some more space between that. But great work again, Kwai. I really like your style. Keep going with it. But ask yourself, what is your goal? What do you want to do? So let's look at Vibha. So this is awesome. It's really great storytelling. I really like the panels. So I think you're still working on it actually. So I don't know. So I think this one needs some work yet, but maybe you could use some lighting like this here. Something like this. Maybe make this also here. It makes it maybe a bit more clear to follow. Something like this. Maybe you can draw even the moon here or something. And some stars. And you can also use that. I think that will add some extra some extra depth. Maybe there's something you can do to make them more. Maybe you can give this little monkey some plugs on its head, that you can see a bit more clear who's who. So I missed that a bit. I find it, especially with this one, I didn't really clearly see. Yeah, that this was his mother. So maybe maybe you can find something to make that a bit clearer. But this is really good. Yeah, if you make those eyes really white or something, or then maybe do something like this around it. Should be great. But this is, and you really have a feeling for drama and storytelling. So that is awesome. And but also for you, do you want to be a comic artist or a story artist or storyboarder? Or anything else. So yeah, ask yourself about yeah, what do you want to become, and go for that. So, but this is awesome, man. You could make a really cool storyboard out of this, of a comic out of this. And it would also be interesting that if you pick one thing and really start to putting the time and effort in that. So create your own story or something. Create your own, and that's maybe something for everyone. We're all artists, and you can create something for yourself. So yeah, now I'm making a lot of teaching content, But what's cool about that is that as an artist, we are able to create our own products. We don't have to work for a boss per se. If you want to work for a studio, that's fine. I'm also doing that in my freelance jobs. But you can also make your own products, and that's worth a lot, because that always stays yourself. And if you're working for someone else, then you're giving it and them, or you're getting in return a paycheck. But you're giving away your intellectual property. But as artists, we can create our own stories. We can create our own children books and so on. So, John, wow, man, this looks awesome. I really almost don't know what to say about it. Your draftsman skills are really good. Some things I would watch out for is that these lines are getting really close together. So watch out for that. And also here, this. Think about how these things are constructed. So draw through. Also, this feels, yeah, that is hard. Maybe you can make it a bit more going around the shape. I think there's maybe some edge here. I think that would look nicer if there's something there around. Also here, how's this going around? Try to draw your shapes through. And maybe instead of making it shaped like this, maybe you can make the bottle a bit more like this or something. It feels just a little bit more designed than. Maybe also, and that's hard, but these shapes are really straight and the same. So maybe you can make them a bit more, making a bit wider here than here. So it's not this, but that you get a bit of this, so that you don't have those parallel lines. Yeah, it's not that big of thing. But also here, this line is also really close to this edge. So maybe I would put his hand a bit more here, and then this arm a bit more here, and this arm a bit more up. Then I also have a bit of, I don't really like this part. So maybe if you put this arm here, and then you also have this straight versus this curved here. And then you can make this thing, think about, give this thing a thickness. So there needs to be a bit of air in it, so it really goes around. So that makes maybe the silhouette a bit clearer. So, and then maybe this flute is going here, or is actually fine, but maybe it's a bit close to that feet as well. But now this feet has a bit more space. It's not that close. You can use this bend, also giving a bit more space. And also think about how is it going around these shapes. Think about, oh yeah, watch out here again. Maybe make it a little bit, just a little bit shorter. I would watch out with that it's exactly going here into this shape. So maybe you can make the smoke a bit more like this. Also here, this finger, maybe if you move this finger a bit more here, and it's a bit less crampy there. Maybe make this finger also a bit more over it. I don't know, maybe you can do this with this finger or something. I don't know. Can maybe play around a bit with that. But I really like these angles in these feet. So man, this is this looks awesome. And here, you have this oil platform. Yeah, and of course that is, yeah, it's not the environment thing, but maybe you can make. Yeah, yeah, I get it. he's the last polar bear. This is the last ice. So yeah, I won't even change that. But I'm wondering, from who is this? Did he make them that self, or yeah? I don't know really at this moment, but I really like the story, so that's awesome. And yeah, maybe some things like this band looks a bit flat, so maybe think about how that's going around the body and so on. And yeah, these things like these constructed things and so on. But they're all small things. You're doing such a great job with your work. Awesome work, man. Let's go to Tamas. Made this awesome drawing. And I think this is a sock or something, but I can't really clear. So I don't know what this is. Maybe we can also make this. Maybe he needs to, if he's really doing, maybe you can try to push his body a bit more, that he's really trying to pull this off. So if you make this straight, there feels a bit more force into it, making his eyes closed. It's always hard with these kind of eyes. If you had these cartoony eyes, you could do something like this. But of course, you can't can do that. So you can make him, maybe that he's pulling it like this, or maybe we could actually do it. Maybe his tongue or something. Yeah, I think that works. Then it looks like he's doing a little bit more of effort. What I find with these colors here, that these values are a bit too strong here. So maybe I would make them a little bit darker or something. So you're still focused on the beer. So because the high saturation, the focus point really seems here, and you want to have the focus point here. So, but I really like the roughness in this. This would be great for a children book. I have feeling from, yeah, you can start working on that. And I'm not that much of an expert in this kind of painting. So you also asked that you was going to an art conference. And that's great, because then you can meet a lot of different artists, and maybe some artists that work a bit in the same style of you. So you can talk a bit about that. So I would really recommend going to those art conferences and see as if you can talk to some people, make some art friends and so on. I really had a good experience for going to those art events. So it would be great if you're going there. But yeah, keep the focus on this. So maybe you can also make these, make this a bit, maybe if this is a sock, maybe this sock needs to be pink or something. Or maybe some different color. But that it helps with getting the attention to this point, so the focal point. So yeah, that was it. Great work. I really liked it. And so awesome work, everyone. And if you want to send your portfolio for next week review, that's totally fine. It will be cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.